YouTube just about to get ready to go here, so stay tuned. I want to make certain all the audio is working at this point, so hang on while we double check a couple of things here. It is Tuesday night. Yesterday was the last day of September. We are now officially in October, so it is nice to change months, but as I learned a long time ago, beware anything involving Tuesdays or October, because unfortunately both of those can go deceptively fast, so something to think about there as we go throughout the next 30 days going toward Halloween at the end of the month. And again, watching out for that. Thanks to my mom for the Halloween tie. She makes most of my neckties on TV. Coming up, we're going to talk about the potential for problems with travel back over into areas close to western North Carolina. If you haven't seen anything about what's going on over there, we have got some pretty good traffic snarls thanks to what was Helene, and more on your forecast coming up here in just a little bit, so stay tuned for more on that. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek, as it says right down below here. This is Weather Overtime. This is our online video weather blog enabling you, the viewer, to ask questions or just keep an eye as to what's going on with the weather situation out there. And we'll have more on the forecast coming up here in just a little bit for the Tennessee River Valley, North Georgia, Northeast Alabama, Southeast Tennessee, and Western North Carolina in just a little bit. Almanac for today, about as close to where you need to be for this time of the year. Nowhere near our record high, which was last set back in 2019. And we now have a deficit at this time for the month of October. Every single month we wind up with a certain amount of rain that we usually pick up in a certain amount of time. Well, as of right now, because we didn't get any rainfall for today, the blue would mean we are in a surplus, but we're going to switch that to red, which means that we're in a deficit, like you can see with the current conditions around the area. Excuse me. When it comes to our yearly deficit, that huge amount of rainfall that we picked up in the last few days, that was great. No question about that. We got just enough to drop our deficit down a little bit, but that's still a big problem. All that water washing down parts of the Tennessee River Valley. And we'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. So for right now, well, let's get you started with the school day forecast here real quick. And if you're heading to this classroom tomorrow, temperatures are going to be a little bit on the brisk side in the morning. Not seeing a huge amount of problem, but if you are going to be outdoors tomorrow, there is going to be the possibility of some fog, and that could slow down some of the commute out there. We're also seeing, again, the potential for some problems with flooding. Not a great deal, but it is possible that we could see a lot more problems with all this rain draining away, but you will not need the rainfall protection tomorrow, so definitely some good news on that. Currently, we are right before 10 o'clock overlooking downtown Chattanooga on the News 12 Bailey's Heating and Air Camera from the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam Network. You can access all of our cameras at wdef.com/weather if you'd like to know more, again, about what's going on with the forecast, or take a look at any of our cameras that are active out there. Temperatures for tonight, again, not bad. We are back into the mid-70s, so decently quiet again tonight. Higher dew point, very high humidity, and that light wind and cool temperatures. That is a pretty good recipe for fog as we go into later on this evening, so expect that when you head out in the morning if you are going out that way. Temperatures near the top of the hour back into the 60s and 70s. Comfortable, but it is still just a little bit on the humid side out across much of the region. So we are looking at a little bit more humidity, but otherwise, for this time of the year, decently comfortable. It got pretty hot well back to our west. Little Rock, you managed to make about 90 degrees today, but take a look at those numbers back toward Missouri. 57 in Springfield, 63 in St. Louis, 60s and 70s across much of the southeastern United States, so pretty well spot on. We've got a new cold front heading into the area. Now, what we've got, again, for tonight is not much of anything here. We've got this weak front dropping through, and behind this front, that is where we're seeing the potential of some more dry conditions as high pressure moves in from the high plain states. Now, into the next couple of days, that dry air stays in place where we are and gives us little, if anything, taking place in the way of problems. Now, as this front, this is a weak storm system. There's not really a lot of oomph to this, so this system will be just washing out in the atmosphere. There will not be that much of anything left with this front, and moisture at this time right along and on either side of the front is excuse me again, very much on the limited side. What's left of Helene now washing its way out into the ocean, so there's not much left of that system. But for us, very dry for the next couple of days, and then a little bit more moisture comes up from the Gulf of Mexico. How much are we talking about? Well, for right now, it doesn't really look like all that much. Could be some 50s tomorrow morning, lower 60s especially, and then high 50s could be a problem out there. Temperatures into Wednesday afternoon, a little warmer with more sunshine. Could be some clouds on that side of the front sticking around. By Thursday morning, 50s and 60s once again, with again some cloud cover south of Chattanooga, and then looking at temperatures back in the lower 80s as we get into and around Thursday, with some scattered light showers possible into and around this area, down to around portions of the viewing area in Alabama and Georgia. That's about Friday morning, and as we go into Friday afternoon, there is a slim chance of some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but otherwise not much. This could be, note I said could, right now confidence is not high that this will be sticking around, but for right now, the potential of anything really developing of a huge note, as in stronger thunderstorms, as in severe weather, as in hurricanes or tropical storm strength, that's not going to be happening. This moisture is just going to be wandering off the Gulf of Mexico and not expected to be causing any problems for us, again, in the way of an organized storm system like a tropical storm or a hurricane like what we saw last week. So semi-good news on that for right now. That chance of rain, such as it is, will stick around down to our south and then pretty much be out of the way by Saturday morning and into Saturday afternoon. There's just really not that much going on at this point. So looking good into the rest of the forecast, very much on the warm side for the weekend, but not seeing any overly hot conditions. So heat doesn't appear to be showing a very big problem at this time. So some very good news on that. Add to that where the temperature is concerned, next week, the first full week of October, temperatures should be decently at normal to just below normal in the blue. So parts of the viewing area, especially the Appalachian, southeast Tennessee, that is where we should be looking at less in the way of heat. If you want the heat and want to get really warm again, out west is going to be your best bet, because that is where we're seeing the potential of not cool conditions for the course of the next several days. So please keep that in mind if you're doing anything out there. Maybe you're not a fan of winter weather and you want the hot weather going on. Okay, great, no problem. But it's not going to be around here anytime soon, so some very good news for that. We'll take a look at the tropics in detail coming up here in just a little bit from Island Cove Marina and Resort, again on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Fairly quiet, clouds breaking up a little bit. Don't think we were able to see the space station tonight, and if we were, it was going to be a fairly low to the horizon pass. No, it was a bright one, about 8:15, but difficult to see with all those clouds out there. And Tiangong Space Station flew overhead about an hour and a half ago, so not a bad night for stargazing out there. Next couple of days, this is where we see the chance of rainfall, such as it is on Friday, and not much of a chance of anything else any other time frame, so very much on the quiet side all the way throughout the forecast period. Temperatures, especially as this moisture comes up from the Gulf, might be a little bit warmer. Again, not much. Back in the lower to mid 80s, that's just above normal for this time of the year. So decently quiet, decently dry, and this is the only chance of rain we've got anytime soon to give us anything more in the way of heavier amounts of rainfall coming through the area. And next week, if this pans out, and remember the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day short range forecast, could be looking at high temperatures in the mid-70s by the first full week of October next week. So looking again at some very nice conditions for now. If everything pans out, hopefully it does. We'll keep you updated on that as we go throughout the course of the next several days. So warmer than what it has been, and then 50s and 60s for lows, and that very small chance of anything involving precipitation out there anytime soon. So taking a look at what's going on in the tropics, there's really not that much where we're concerned. We did have Isaac, which is now all the way up around the British Isles, way up in the northeastern part of the Atlantic, close to the British Isles. There could be a wind situation for them. We had Joyce, which is now dissipated. That was a tropical depression as of yesterday. We now have Kirk, which is a Category 1 minimal hurricane. It's expected to take a hard right turn up into the central Atlantic, and then that, I think, will be not a problem for anybody but the fish. That's why it's called a fish storm. Looking down here, right off the coast of Africa, we have another system developing, and this one is showing a lot more promise to follow right across where Kirk is now. The problem is, if Kirk stirs up the ocean waters enough, it might cool off the surface of the ocean just at the top layers enough to where, if this becomes the L storm as a tropical storm or hurricane, then it may not become all that strong if Kirk manages to stir up more of the ocean water and thereby cooling the temperatures, takes away some of the energy from that portion of the ocean surface. We'll see what happens with this. Again, this is a 90% chance very soon, so it's more than likely that this will become the L-named storm in the next couple of days. We'll see what the National Hurricane Center has to say about that. All right, now back a little closer to home into the Bay of Campeche and the Gulf of Mexico. This kidney bean-shaped area is where the National Hurricane Center is, where we have the next possibility of a storm developing. Anywhere between the Bay of Campeche, the northwestern Caribbean, the south central Gulf. This could develop into something, but it's not as high a risk as what we saw with that other storm right off the coast of Africa a couple of minutes ago. So, yes, there is the potential of something fairly broad forming here. As of right now, and let me just double check this before I jinx it, there was not anything in the way of, no investigation number has been issued on this just yet, so it's not organized enough at this time to really give us anything in the way of tracking or spaghetti plots or anything like that. But the basic bottom line is that if you are planning on traveling anywhere between, say, Corpus Christi and the Keys, I would watch this very carefully because this may be affecting parts of the Gulf Coast, and that could be a problem, especially in the Big Bend area of Florida. That is where we saw most of the devastation from Helene. That extra amount of rainfall, if we get any extra rainfall out of this right through here, that's not going to help recovery efforts. So hopefully it goes a little bit farther back to the west if anything develops. We'll monitor this and we'll keep you updated as to what is going on. Now I want to bring over the web browser here really quick so we can see a little bit more. If you are planning on traveling anywhere back over to the east of the News 12 viewing area, this is the TDOT SmartWay map showing again the incidents or construction or road repair in the yellow caution triangles. The road closed markers are again everything News 12 viewing area here in southeast Tennessee. The grayed out portion here is western North Carolina and back into northern South Carolina a little farther down to the south. Notice at this time that there are dozens of road closures. Anything to the south and east of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge up into the Smoky Mountains, that is where we're seeing the worst of the worst in the way of road closures taking place, from washed out roadways to avalanches to construction difficulties, trying to clear all that stuff out. So if you're planning on traveling anywhere back over into western North Carolina tonight or tomorrow, anything around Asheville, not a good place to be. The authorities issuing statements earlier asking people that if you don't have to be here, you really need to be staying away from the area. No sightseeing, no souvenir collecting, no just wandering through and doing the old rubbernecking in this area. This is not the place to be for that. So please, if you don't live here or you're part of the construction crews or first responders or anybody else who's helping the people who got hit the hardest in this area, you need to stay away from here. That's just all there is to it. There's going to be plenty of time to see the damage in the weeks and months to come, but right now we have people that are stranded. Right now we have people who are trying to get back in contact with each other, establishing communications with their loved ones to make certain that everybody is all right and trying to get everybody back to normal as soon as possible. And this is a very big problem. So again, this is an area to avoid for the time being. So there's other places you can go and sightsee. This, again, in western North Carolina, if you're not helping, this is not the place to be. So please stay out of the area as much as you possibly can out there. All right, talking about flooding and this information from the National Weather Service and the National Water Prediction Service. That, again, the NWPS from NOAA. One more thing that NOAA does, getting rid of NOAA because they talk about climate change is a very short-sighted thing, because I don't know any private forecasting firm that does something like this and does it in such a good way on there. So that, again, something else to talk about. But focusing right now on the Chattanooga area, taking a look at the Tennessee River into around downtown Chattanooga. Flood stage is 651.1 feet, and we're at 642.4 for right now. So the good news is at this time, it looks like we are slowly peaking, just a bit of a curve upwards on the information that you see right through here. So we are about 642.4, now down to 642.39, and expected to drop even further as we go into, that's the forecast, into tomorrow. So for right now, that is going to be where we see the potential for, let me just zoom in a little bit there for that. Through tomorrow, we should stay relatively steady as that water pours downstream, going down the Tennessee River through Chickamauga and into the Nickajack Lake area. Swimming, boating around the area, anything in the water may not be the best place to be at this point in time because of the raised levels out there. And several other of these places are experiencing the peak right now. Nickajack Dam below Chattanooga on the Tennessee River, peaking, it looks like tonight, at 606.139. Action stage is 6.13, and it looks like it's going to be slowly making its way on downwards as we go throughout the next several days as that crest of water makes its way a little bit farther downstream. Some of the other rivers around there, the Sequatchie River near Whitwell, that peaked on September 28th at 3.67. Flood stage is 14. It is now 1.5 feet, so it's back to normal basically there. South Chickamauga Creek, that also peaked with the heaviest rainfall last week as it came on through, now down to its more stable stage of about 5 feet above zero stage. So it looks like we're getting rid of that water fairly quickly there. Going upstream a bit, the Tennessee River right below Watts Bar Dam, that also appears to have peaked and is now slowly but steadily dropping. It's going to take several more days for this to make its way on downwards, especially into around Thursday. That's when it looks like more water will be sluicing its way out of the chances there. There's something, see, for right now, let's see. Okay, I was reading that the wrong way there. So it looks like Tennessee River below Watts Bar Dam is doing pretty good for right now. Into and around portions of Knoxville, there are flood warnings in effect for portions of Knox and Sevier County, around Douglas Lake, into and around areas there, low-lying areas seeing some big problems, into the action stage. So water has risen upstream around Knoxville, east of Knoxville, back over to around, it looks like close to Kodak, around Dumplin Creek and south of I-40 is where the worst is going on. All this information that you're looking at is part of what you can get through the National Weather Service, and the best way to get there is to find out where you are located, your particular area. So let's just say, again, this was from Morristown we were checking out. Go to weather.gov, click on that area of eastern Tennessee, click on rivers and lakes, and that will give you the gold area here. That's the jurisdiction for the National Weather Service in Morristown for this area of the National Water Prediction Service. And then you get access to all of this information sitting across eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, Georgia, all over the United States. Tons of information available here in regards to what's going on with flooding. So great opportunity to see a lot more there. All right, taking a look at our web poll of the day. The Pew Research Trust did a survey in 2023 asking 10,000 Americans several questions about the environment. We featured a lot of these as quizzes in the last couple of weeks. So today's question: what percentage of Americans favor requiring oil and gas companies to seal their oil wells from leaking methane? There are thousands of abandoned wells across the United States, and a good portion of them are leaking methane into the atmosphere after all the drilling down into the Earth's surface. Methane is a greenhouse gas, and it is much worse for the environment than carbon dioxide. So the more methane we have, the more we have to act more quickly, because again, methane is so far a lot worse than anything involving carbon dioxide. Both of them together are bad, yes, but this is something to take a look at when it comes to what we can do to fix the environment. And one of the things we can do is fix the leaks, shutting off the wells, shutting them down completely. The oil companies drill them, the oil companies put them in place, the oil companies for the most part own them. So now, if they're the ones who started this, they really need to go back and finish up and get rid of them, capping a problem which they began a long time ago. So, and apparently for our benefit, but oil companies knew a long time ago that methane, carbon dioxide, oil and gas were bad for the planet. So now it's time for, according to a lot of Americans, to cough up to make certain that they're paying for what they brought to bear to begin with. And the amount of Americans that feel this way, 89%, just shy of 9 out of 10. So something to think about there. If you'd like to see looks of the information about the poll, we posted this to our websites, and you can take a look at that. If you'd like to vote in our polls, use the QR code or go to our website, wdef.com/vote now, to find out more. I think that's it from the websites for tonight, so we'll tuck that away for the time being. And as of right now, let's take a look and see a few other things here. Thank you very much. I'm not a morning person. It's always nice to see the very warm colors of sunrise out there. And this particular one from Denise Camp in Eastridge. Thank you very much, Miss Denise, for this view from the Eastridge area. Beautiful pastel colors out there. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. If you've got pictures, send them in. We'd love to see them. Pictures at wdef.com, or also you can drop them to our social media pages or to our website at wdef.com/photos. For more on that. So great opportunity to learn a little bit more into tomorrow morning. Let's see, did I already do this? Yes, I think I did. Okay, school day looks pretty good. Into the morning, taking a look at getting the pupper out for a walk. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer Renee Straub from Ottawa. Thank you very much for a picture of Bonnie, the certified therapy dog, agility, and runs in fast cat competitions. I've never heard of that before, but very cool. And again, some fog could be a problem into tomorrow morning, but otherwise partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies there. If you'd like to submit a picture of your pupper for the dog walking forecast, sponsored by Rough Cuts Dog Grooming of Cleveland, drop them to our website, again, wdef.com/dogwalk. If you'd like to get your pupper in the picture there, we'd love to be able to feature them if at all possible. Tomorrow, outdoors, again, avoiding anything in the way of the major waterways. just to be on the safe side. There's going to be debris, there's going to be fast flow, there's going to be a lot of things to avoid, but otherwise, in general, outdoor activities, very mild, very warm, winds light out of the northwest, so not doing too bad there. And the same thing applies for, again, chasing the white ball around the greens. Gopher should be all you have to worry about there, because into tomorrow, temperature is quite pleasant, mainly sunshine after the fog burns off, and then looking at, again, winds fairly light, so not really too much to worry about there. Now, a couple things I want to show to you. If you would like to become a Skywarn spotter, now is the time to get registered and to get practiced and ready to go, because storm system number 2 is on its way. That's roughly, give or take, about late October through about early to mid-December. That's when the pattern starts to get a little sharper between the cold air coming in from the north and the warm, moist air coming up from the south and southeast. This is the time frame where leftover storms like Helene can cause a lot of problems, and knowing what might be a threat, staying on top of that threat, being knowledgeable, paying attention to what's going on with the weather, that is going to be one of the best things that you can possibly do. But you may not be able to make it to a Skywarn spotter class. If that's the case, no problem. The National Weather Service in Morristown has put together a virtual Skywarn training class online at their website. So if you'd like to know more, you can go to our website, scroll down beneath the forecast at wdef.com/weather. Take the course whenever you want to, but please consider becoming a Skywarn spotter, because the more spotters we have out there, the better protected we will all be to have all those eyes, ears, and brains watching the skies, reporting that information back to the National Weather Service. Again, for those of you who dislike NOAA for talking about climate change, show me one privatized weather company that does anything involving Skywarn, and we might be able to talk about things. But in the meantime, for those of you who want to get rid of NOAA for no other good reason than they talk about climate change, this is public safety at its finest, and it's what your tax dollars and my tax dollars pay for. One of the best investments of our tax dollars, in my not-so-humble opinion. So this is something that NOAA does very well. And getting rid of NOAA just because you don't like how they talk about an issue that is important like climate change, that's very short-sighted, to say the least. So this is something to really take a look at. Please consider becoming a Skywarn spotter. Take the course, pass the final exam, and then register with your local National Weather Service office so they can call you if you are in a particular area watching what goes on with severe weather, and then they can find out more about what's happening. You can call them on a special toll-free hotline, which gets you access to the National Weather Service bullpen where all the decisions are made. Your information coming in and being plotted to say, this is what's happening here, this is where the storm is moving, anybody in this area needs to be in shelter. Your information could help save a life. That's why Skywarn is so important. So please consider becoming a Skywarn spotter. Now, this is something that is very much important to me. I am not deaf. I am not hard of hearing. I do not have anybody in my family who is. It's important to me. I have been learning for the last, give or take, about year and a half. I've been studying ASL, American Sign Language, because if it's possible, one of these days I'm going to get licensed or become a translator, if at all possible, because I want to be able to help whoever is deaf or hard of hearing. And this is just one way that I can do it. But until I learn ASL properly, this is as good as I can do. So hopefully you're able to read the captions on here. If you know someone who is deaf or hard of hearing, please let them know about this, especially if they want to become a Skywarn spotter. The National Weather Service in Huntsville has done this for other occasions, especially winter weather. They will hold workshops for anybody who is deaf or hard of hearing to come in. They will be ASL interpreters, and CART services will be provided for this. The next meeting coming up will be 2 weeks from Wednesday, from tomorrow, on October the 16th. That'll be at 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time. That should be CDT right there. I don't think we go over to Standard Time anytime soon. But this will be held in the News 12 viewing area in Fort Payne, Alabama. So if you would like to, if you know somebody who is deaf or hard of hearing and think this would be a good match for them, that because they would like to become a Skywarn spotter, but because they don't know how to sign, this is a good opportunity for you to let them know. Hopefully they're paying attention to stuff like this, announcements in the community. But if you know someone who doesn't know about this, may want to pass that on to them so that they can register for this. More information, again, go to our website for a connection, or you can find out more from the National Weather Service Huntsville at their website, weather.gov/HUN, the three-letter designator for Huntsville. So it is, that's HU and N on there. So I'm slowly working on it. I'm not good today. I need more practice. So I'm working on it. It's not great, but I'm getting there. So one of these days, hopefully we'll have a deaf weather forecast. I don't see. I'm not too sure what forecast or tomorrow is just yet. I'll get there, so we'll see what happens on that. But again, if you know anybody who is deaf or hard of hearing, this would be a perfect opportunity to learn more, if at all possible. So, all right, I think that is going to do it for tonight. We've been on for just about half an hour. Nobody checking in on Twitch or YouTube, but that's okay. And if you have any questions or concerns, please give me a shout at aonek@wdef.com. Our website down at the bottom of the screen, wdef.com/weather. If you'd like to know anything more about the forecast, anything that we can help you with in regards to learning about weather here, I'm on all these social media networks. News 12 is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but I'm on a lot of these networks here. So if you have anything you'd like to discuss or would like to see something more on Weather Overtime, please let us know. We'd like to be able to work with you to keep you coming back for our latest forecast, so please do so. If there's anything you'd like to see, if there's anybody you'd like to contact here at News 12, wdef.com/weather. And you can get in contact with anybody else here in the newsroom, and we'll keep you updated on what goes on air and online. Let's see. Chip Chapman will have more on your forecast coming up bright and early on Wednesday, peak of the week morning, the 2nd of October, going very quickly already. Live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This has been Weather Overtime for the first day of October on Tuesday, so stay tuned for more with News 12 on air and online, and I'll see you again coming up